You are listening to the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast with your host, Eric Logan. No Gimmicks, Just Sweat is dedicated to hearing the journeys and unique stories behind an athlete's training and what drives them. Get inspired to own your life and make the impossible possible. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe so that you never miss an episode. Also, please take a few seconds to rate the show and drop me a review. Now, let's get started with the show.
All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of No Gimmicks, Just Sweat. And today we are welcoming Brittanyy Harris to the show. Brittany, how are you doing?
I'm so good. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Thank you for coming on to the show. Glad to have you.
Yes. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, excited. Ooh, okay. That means we're going to really dig into some stuff.
Yes.
All right. As every show, we kind of break the ice a little bit. But with this season, we're kind of starting to do it a little bit different. Instead of just throwing out all the just general this or that questions, we're going to do two truths and a lie. So tell me two true facts about you and one lie. I'm going to guess which one's the lie, but don't tell me the answer. We're going to revisit it back at the end, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Two truths and a lie.
Okay. I'm the only child.
Okay.
One of my favorite race distances is the 1 mile. And the third, I have been on the Steve Harvey show.
Okay. I'm going to say your favorite race is the 1 mile. That's the lie. Okay. I'm going to say that because in the context of the Steve Harvey show, I don't know what is the context of the Steve Harvey show you may have been on. You may be like, I was in the audience, so that means I was on the show. So, we'll revisit at the end, and we'll kind of see if I was right or wrong.
Okay.
All right. So, again, every episode, we want to hear the stories of how people got into, their prospective discipline, which is running with you. So, what's your story? Kind of frame it in the sense of, I love comic books. I love superheroes. You are a superhero. What is your origin story?
Right. So I'm originally from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is about 20 miles right outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And so when I was in high school and also middle school, like basketball was my sport.
Okay.
And then in the off season, the track coach said, "Hey, we saw you on the court. We want to see if you wanted to come and run with us." And I'm thinking, like, isn't it hot? And I was like, basketball is indoors. Like, we might do our little conditioning outside, but I was like, I spend my time indoors. But I said, I guess, for conditioning and training purposes, I'll go ahead and do this running thing.
Okay.
And so when we were like trying out for our different areas, I did the 100 meters and then the 4x1.
Okay.
And loved it. Like, I just love the speed. I love the team and the relay. And we were great. So that's where I first started loving the running thing. Like, I still love my basketball, but like running was like number 2.
Okay.
And then from there, I went to college at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga.
Okay.
And so that's where I still, serve, learn, and grow. And it started when I was teaching, and I taught first, second, and third grades. And so one of the teachers said, "Hey, I would love to do this 1 mile event." And I was like, if I run 100 meters, I can do a 1 mile. And so she was like, "Okay, I'm going to get some friends together." And then it was called like the Market Street Mile. So you ran in the heart of downtown Chattanooga, which was awesome.
Okay.
And then after that, I was like, I kind of like this running thing. I wonder what else there is. And so I was at the YMCA, and then some of the ladies there, they were like, "Hey, we really love to do a marathon relay." And I'm like, first of all, how long is a marathon? Because again, like, I started from like, it feels like doing 100 meters, and they're talking about like a marathon. And I was like, they were like, "Okay." So like we break it up, and I was like, into how many parts?
Right.
And so it was one of our local marathons here, and so they said, we'll have 4 of us. And they were like, "You're pretty fast, so you can just be the anchor in the last leg." And so they were like, it's just like 6 miles. And I was like, but I've only run 1 mile. Like, that's my longest race ever. And then they said, no, you'll be fine. And I was like, no, I don't think so. So I started like training for it. And there was like a local 5K that came up. So I did that. And then I still hadn't reached 6 miles, but I was like, my team is depending on it. So I'll just, go for it. And so we did it. And then after that, we actually placed like in the top 3. And I was like, I kind of like this running thing and I'm pretty good at it. So let me just, kind of see what else I can do. And so now I'm here and just joined the Chattanooga Track Club here. And then also sit on the board and just love Chattanooga because it offers so many different areas that are safe and runnable and adventurous.
Okay. So, and I'm gonna kind of go back a little bit. So, when you started running that 1 mile, that's when you're running track. You kind of like, okay, it's just going around in a circle. You really don't think about the distance. Like, okay, it's a circle. It's just a circle. You think about it in laps. But then when you switch to that 1 mile, that's when you kind of start really thinking like, okay, a mile is actually a long distance. It's one thing to run around a track in a circle. It's another thing to go from point A to point B. That's a straight distance.
Yes, I was tired. Like my friend was like, you just build up. He was like, I started like running a mile. Then after that, like I picked up to go 2 miles. And I'm like, but this 1 mile is so long.
Right. You never think about that. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I got to do 3 of these. And then you start going, wait, I got to do 6 of these. Then next thing you know, wait, I got to do 13. They tell you, that's the way. Oh, just break it down per mile. But when you start thinking about it, you're like, wait a minute. It took me this long to do 1 mile.
Yes. And then now I ran like 6-hour races, and I'm like, look where I've come from, Like,
right. Exactly. And I'm going to kind of talk about Chattanooga a little bit, because I always find it, I always love to hear about other running communities. Just to kind of see what that atmosphere is. Again, I'm in Georgia, so I see a lot with the Atlanta running community, a lot with the Central Georgia running community. So I'm always just kind of curious of how the communities are, especially when it comes to blacks and other minorities as well. Because, you do find your pocket groups to run with, and then, you do find your other groups that, are like, hey, come on in, we don't care, just come on in. So how is it up in Chattanooga?
So we have so many different running groups. And so like when I get up so early. So when people see me come out in the afternoon, which most of the groups run, they're like, wait, Brittany, you're out? And I'm like, yes. Like, because I have to go to school so early. And so this summer I did like a running tour of like all the groups that we had here.
Oh, okay.
And it was awesome because I was able to pick up some more routes that I didn't think of, to do.
Right.
So, it's just amazing the different pockets. A lot of them kind of meet in the downtown area, but then we also have a like river walk that they've added on. So, I mean, it's just maybe over 30 miles that you can run within the area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay. And then I have a loop that's really close to my house that is kind of like crushed gravel a little bit. And then like down and back on one half, you can get about 5 miles, but then you can cross over into some park area and you can get about 10 miles. So, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's just awesome. And you feel safe because there's paths and then there's different restrooms. And then I'm mainly road, but then there's also many areas for trail, like just amazing areas to do those on. So,
okay. I might have to run a bit. Like I said, I did a cycling event. I did the cycling event that they generally do every May.
Yeah.
So I did that this year when it was pouring rain.
Oh God.
but it was a great event. Riding up the mountain was a challenge in the rain. And it was one of those that I was like, I would love to do this when it's not rain.
Oh gosh, yes. Isn't that the one that it starts downtown, like by the Bessie Smith?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I only did the 60 mile. I did not do the full 100. I'm like,
Only 60 miles.
when you ride on top, it's just like a runner saying like, "Oh yeah, I just ran 10 miles today."
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the same thing with cycling. Oh, I just did 60 miles. All right. So let's go back into you with running. You just admitted that you get up early to run. So what does a week of training and running looks like for you?
Yes, so I wake up about 3:20, and
Okay.
and then I get started about 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So I work out pretty much every day of the week. Some days aren't as like extensive as others, but like a Monday through Friday, I am at the gym about 3 to 4 days a week, and then I
Okay.
run about 2 days a week, and then Saturday and Sunday are usually always my running days. And so it's about 14 to 15 hours per week, but about 4 to 5 days of strength training. So I
Okay.
picked that
Yes.
up. I guess like
Yes.
right after COVID, I was like, hey, these weights are really great. Because, then they had these little like snippets of like 30-minute sessions that you can watch. And then I had weights here. And I'm like, hey, I feel stronger running when I'm strength training.
Yes.
And so adding that in and kind of like this HIIT boot camp class I go to has really like pushed my levels as far as strength. And then it just depends on what I'm training for, depending on my mileage. So currently I'm training for the Savannah, Georgia Bridge Run in December, that first
December.
week in December. And then I'm doing the double pump. So I'll do a 5K and then I'll go back and then do the 10K.
Yeah. That is on my list of runs to do. So that's how I know. That's why I get like, oh yes, I know that is on my. And I hate saying bucket list. Bucket list sounds so like, okay, that's the end. But it's on my wish list of things to do.
I like that wish list.
Yes. So don't feel bad. I'm one of those people that I get up early in the morning too. I'm up at 3:30. I'm getting older, so yes, I have to get up and do my stretching. So, I get up, I do my stretching, I do a meditation, and then I hit out. And by 4 a.m., I'm running, and I try to keep it at like 3 to 4 miles, and I come back showered and I head on to work.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I met you because that's the thing. People look at me crazy. They're like, wait, you get up that early? And I'm just like, just because of my day, my work life, it's like, that's how I balance it. So I'm so glad you do the same. Right.
And you work in education, correct?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I didn't want to say like I think she's in education. She's a teacher or a principal. I know she's in the schools.
Yes, assistant principal. Yes.
Okay. So with running, and I work in education too, but I work on the technical side. I'm in cybersecurity. So dealing with students, dealing with your colleagues and stuff. Do you find running to be kind of therapeutic? Is that kind of thing that, if you run in the morning, it kind of gets you ready for the day. It kind of wakes you up, gets you kind of like, okay, I'm ready for the day. Or, even in the evening, if you can get a chance to go out to run, it kind of takes your mind off things.
Definitely. Like when I'm in the morning, I'm so much more alert because I've been up for hours prior to everyone else. And it allows me still to get to work before everyone else and, kind of get the tasks done that I need to and, greet the students and faculty when they come in. But it's a part of me. Like I can't imagine not, working out or running or exercising before I start my day because it just levels me and, just creates this energy.
Yes. Believe me, my coworkers can tell during meetings and stuff. They were like, you didn't go running this morning, did you? No. They're like, we can tell. Believe me, they know if I don't go running or, if the weather is bad, I'll go into the gym and I'll do some type of workout. Usually my thing is, I either do 3 miles on the road or 30 minutes on the treadmill. Okay. And so they can tell when I come in how I'm sitting in a meeting, if I'm just not saying that very stonefully, like, and I'm looking at they're like, yeah, you didn't run this morning, did you? I know.
See, that's exactly how I feel because, like, if I try to like wait till the afternoon and not have something done, then it's kind of like you never know what's going to happen with your day, no matter what
Right.
profession
Exactly.
you're in, you know. And so, like, I might have a meeting after work, or I might need to stay later because this event's happening. So I just want to make sure that I'm not like looking at my watch, wanting to go out when I knew I could have just woken up a little early. So.
Yes. 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 And it does. It makes the day go a whole lot better. All right. So with training and running and preparing, you can run and just say, I'm just going to run and just run. What races, what got you motivated to kind of do races? Because, I will share what a colleague once told me. He was like, so basically you pay money to run on the road that you pay taxes on. And, and I was like, I understand the logic of what you're saying, but there's a certain camaraderie, a certain, feeling of accomplishment that you get when you participate in those races.
Yes. Yes, I totally agree. At first, it was because I just went through a divorce when I like really started running like that marathon relay, and it really got me going. And it's like, this is my thing. This is where I can zone out, I can think, and I can rebuild myself.
Right.
And then after that, I started looking at the different organizations that some of the like races that they have go to. So, I mean, it's just miraculous to think like, oh, this may go to St. Jude's, or this may go to the local, like the Goodwill, or there's different things that the races go to matter. So like when I do look at a race, I do look at like where's my money going? Like, let's say if I didn't want a refund or anything, going for a good cause. And then also like destination. So at first I just completed races that were just in my area because that's kind of all I knew,
Right.
But then when people would post and they're like, hey, there's a race here, this race exists. And I'm like, well, if I'm already going on vacation and I love to run, this is also a safe environment that I could tour the city and run and also, have vacation too. So.
Right. So speaking of that, so what's a dream location you would love to go run? It can either be for a race or just to go run it. Just like, hey, I want to go to XYZ location and I just want to run because it's a beautiful place to run.
Yes. I know a lot of people say Hawaii, but I would have to say Hawaii. Like I just had a colleague that went there and then they were just telling me how breathtaking it is. And I'm just going to stick with that. Just like the openness, the ocean, the beauty, just the breathtaking experience.
Yeah. So. And that's another one that's on my list. And the reason why, because they have like, I think it's the Honolulu Marathon.
Yes.
And it's no like, stop time. Yeah.
Yes.
They want you just to run and enjoy it. Enjoy the country, enjoy, the countries, as in the country of the city, not that Hawaii is a country. So I don't want anybody thinking that, but to enjoy the countryside of Hawaii and the sea and stuff, and, so that's one of my dream, wish list races and stuff. So with that, to kind of add with that, is there a particular race that you would want to run, because everybody has like, oh yes, I want to run the Boston Marathon. I want to run the New York City Marathon. Is there one that you like, if I get to run one race before, I can't run anymore, I want to run this?
Yes. Well, I was thinking about one of the people on the board at the Chattanooga Track Club. They run in the Gasparilla race. And so I love running in like stages. So like it's like a Saturday, Sunday type of race, and you get to pick the distances you want to, and it's in Tampa, Florida. And so like, let's say on Saturday, you might run, let's say an 8K and a 15K. Then on Sunday, you might run the half marathon and then a 5K. So you get to like pick the distances that you want to during this running festival. So I would love to kind of, Florida's always, beautiful, but then also to be able to run in consecutive days and not just have this one race and then you're finished and then you kind of keep it moving. So
okay, never heard of that. I might have to look it up and see what it is. I've never heard of it. Okay, all right. So as you started running, there are a lot of things that you start reading magazines, you meet other runners, and they try to give you tips and their advice on things. So let's talk about, those three things. Let's talk about the type of fuel and how you get ready to run. What do you use to fuel yourself? What do you use during your runs? With a 5K, you generally don't think about fueling, but when you start getting up into like your marathons, that's when you really start thinking about fueling and stuff. And then also, like, what type of shoe do you wear? Because no matter who you talk to, everybody's going to have their favorite shoe. It's going to be their best shoe. And then the third all important one is, what type of music, do you listen to music when you run? There are some people who swear by it that, I'm one of them, whenever I run just a regular race, I have to have music. Now, when you're doing duathlons, you can't do that. It's against the rules. You can't, but on just runs, I have to have music. So what is your, preference? Do you like music? Do you not like music, and what do you listen to?
Yes. So with the fuel, I love a good oatmeal or a just a toast with like peanut butter on it. It just like sits easy on my stomach, and then I feel full, especially with oatmeal. That's usually like my go-to. I know if I travel out of town, sometimes it's a little harder to kind of like make that or to find people that have oatmeal. So then I go with like the bagel, the toast bread thing with the whole peanut butter.
Okay.
And then like during the race, especially like those longer ones, if I do gels, I like the Huma gel. And then recently I've tried the Martin gel. And I really like the consistency of the Martin gel because it's kind of like you have jelly. So you kind of like, you feel like you're chewing something, but the flavor is really good and easy, like on my stomach.
Okay.
So, and then I love, if I have to do electrolytes, like some of my longer distances, I will do the Element, and it helps me like alleviate those cramps. And so I feel like that's helpful. And I don't have to take a salt tablet, and then that just kind of helps throughout that, and it's liquid and it goes down pretty smooth.
Okay. I'm not a gel person myself. I've tried it, and I've tried different gels. When I tell people I'm not a gel person, they'll go like, "Oh, well, you tried this. Try this instead." And I was like, I've tried multiple. The thing about when you've been running for 10 years, you try everything. You get that curious when you try it. I can say like, "Yes, I've tried this. I've tried that." I'm like, I just can't do gel.
Yes.
And I've met other people that are the same way. They're like, I just can't do gel. I do gummies.
Okay.
I can do gummies and chews, pop them all day.
Yes. What kind of chews do you use?
Generally, I use like the ones from Honey Stinger.
Yes, those are good.
Yes, those, pop them in.
I love the pomegranate one for that flavor. Those are good.
Yes. And I'll tell you, and this is a secret that I think I was at what was it? It was the Peachtree. It was the Peachtree Road Race, and I was warming up, and I was pulling out, some of my the little gummies, the regular, like the little chewables.
Yeah.
And and I had the fancy kind, the running kind. And one of the African runners, he comes to me like, "No," he said, you spending too much money. He said, he put out a bag of those Harpo that you get for Walmart. He's like, "This is all you need." And he was like, "No," he had him in his pocket. He said, "This is all you need right here." He's like, "This is all you need."
I have seen people use those, and I'm like, maybe I should go that way too, because I mean they are cheaper.
Yep. Hey, he was an African runner. He was in the elite group. Hey, that's all I'm saying. Hey, if this guy's running elite and he's running faster than everybody else, yes, I'm gonna listen to him.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to get that on my next training run then.
Yeah, and I mean they are pretty good. I use them a lot when I'm cycling because they're easier to me. They're smaller, so you can easier put them in the back pouch.
Okay.
And just kind of like, okay, and just throw them in your mouth,
Yeah.
So they do work. They do work, and they give you that little bit of burst of stuff.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. See, that's what this is for. We're sharing. It's sharing. Sharing is caring.
It is.
All right. So that was the first one. Let's talk about your shoe. What shoe do you wear?
So I kind of go back and forth. I feel like some seasons, like this brand of shoe may work, and then another season, my foot doesn't feel well in them. But if I had to say, like my top two that I go back to pretty frequently are the New Balance 1080 and then the Brooks Launch.
Okay. Have you tried other brands of shoes, or are you one of those person that I'm starting to run, I'm just going to try a whole bunch of shoes out and see what works?
Well, so like I did that at first because I'm like, do I really, like how much do I really want to spend on the shoes? So I would go to the outlets and kind of, just see what's comfortable and kind of run in them. But then like as I grew and kind of like went to races and I'm like, oh, what do they have on? And so like I went to our like local Fleet Feed, and then we have another store like Fast Break, and then I just got sized, and they did all those like cool like measurements on you. And then I always wanted Hoka's, but then they never brought those out, and they were like, you can get them if you want to, but based off of your shoe, like your foot, and it's narrow, that like New Balance, Asics, and Brooks would work best. So but then like they have a shoe sale and stuff, and you're like, well, hey, I think I might try this. And then that's how you kind of get caught up into different brands, but I still go back to the New Balance every time. So
yeah, once you find your shoe, you find your shoe. Yeah, and that's how I ended up. I pretty much I wear Hoka's, flat out. And I can honestly say I've tried them all. I'm on Nike, Asics, New Balance. I've tried them all, and then I finally went to a running store, and they measured my foot and stuff, and that's what they brought out.
I love it,
and I've been hooked on that ever since.
Yes.
All right, last question in that trinity of questions: music. Do you listen to it when you run or not, and what type?
Yes, I definitely listen to them. I have like the Shocks headphones work really great, especially like if I'm running downtown and I can still like hear the different elements around me. I love a good T-Pain, especially the song "Get Up." And I try to place it like on my races, like right where I think I might need it to say, like, hey, it's time to get up. Let's get going. You've got this. So I do love that. And then a little Aretha Franklin, James Brown. Put that in the mix.
All right. Okay.
And then I had my students make me a playlist from one of the third grade classes, and they put 90% Taylor Swift, but I rolled with it. It was actually really good. They're like, here's your playlist. And then they had like little drawings and everything by it. And I was like, I think these are all by her. But it was a pretty good playlist. So I appreciate their, their advice.
Okay. So it sounds like the students are, your some of your top cheerleaders, for you running.
Yes, they definitely are. I really love them and enjoy them. And it's so nice to see them also because they run. So we have a cross country team and a track team at our specific schools. And they compete at the different seasons too. So, just seeing them grow as a runner and an athlete, and then knowing that I do also and come to their races and also their practices, just, it brings me joy.
Okay. What about your coworkers? Do they run with you, or they're like, nah, girl, you go, you handle that running yourself?
Yes, like so some of them do, and some of them want to get back into racing and stuff like that too. So I definitely want to make sure that when we have these different races, invite them so they can come out and have fun. Because I feel like now most of the races here have different distances. So it's like, hey, if you didn't want to run a 5K and you need something a little less mileage, like we have a 1 miler, so just kind of getting out there in the community.
Okay. If you had a chance to, go for a run or even just work out with somebody, anybody, a famous person, it could be a sports, personality. It can be an entertainer. It could be, just somebody famous, they can be dead or alive. Who would that be?
Definitely Tyler Perry.
Okay. That I was not expecting that one. Okay.
I think I would have the most fun. Like, I would forget that I'm even out there because just the shows and productions that he's created,
Hmm.
I just love. I mean, he makes me laugh all the time, and
Okay.
then just the joy and creativity that he has. We just have a lot to talk about. So,
Okay. Okay. That's a new one there. That's a first for the show. Okay. All right. So with running, you learn a lot about yourself with running. So this is kind of a two-part question. What was your biggest mistake as a runner that you've made? And then on the flip side, what is your greatest moment or greatest achievement, or even just the biggest lesson you learned as a runner?
the biggest mistake as a runner was definitely the lack of knowledge that I had.
Okay.
So now there's so many different communities and different clubs and organizations that you can join to kind of learn more.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess the longer distances that I ran, the less knowledge I had. So we have a local race here called the Locomotion, and so you can do it's a loop, 2 mile loop that you can compete in hours. So it's like 6 hours is the least amount of time, and then 12 hours and 24 hours. And so I'm like, hey, I think I can do this. You could put your, stations where you needed them and then kind of stop in.
Mm-hmm.
And this would be my intro to see if I like longer distances because you can run as much or as least as you wanted to in that time frame.
Okay.
And then so I had gotten, like I'm going, and by then, I had done 10Ks, 15Ks. And so and I'm doing so well, but I'm running at like an 8-minute pace, like I'm running, like a
Right.
10K. And then I was like, wow, I'm draining. And so I'm just, drinking water, a little Gatorade here and there. I had some chews and stuff like that, but I didn't really know much about fuel. And so I cramped up like maybe about 20 miles.
Oh, wow.
So I knew I could do more, but it was just kind of like, I don't think I could walk it. I couldn't even walk it at that point. It's like some people are like, oh, well, if you can't run, just walk. And it's just like, but sometimes you can't do that either. Like,
Right. Right.
And so I was like, what is going on? And so like I even went to a podiatry, everything because I thought like I was broken, but they were
Wow.
like, it's fine. You just needed like sodium. So I was like, what do you mean? Like I saw those people taking those salt tablets and like pickle juice and stuff, but I was like, I didn't know what they were doing, And so I went to one of our like nutrition shops, and then Jerry was like, "This is what you need." And so I was like, "Okay, I'm coming for it next time." Like I knew I needed. That's why I got like the Element because it has a lot of like magnesium and sodium, and so I was very strategic. And so one of my students, we did like math miles, and I was like, "Hey, if I do this in the amount of time, like I really want to get 30 miles in." And so we did it. And so with that, I calculated it, and I had the right race strategy as far as nutrition, and then did 10 more miles than I did that previous year. So
Okay.
yeah, definitely knowledge on that part. So
Okay. Okay. All right. What about the proudest, your greatest achievement as a runner?
I would definitely say so. I love how you say runner and athlete. So with that, it was like the first duathlon I had competed in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I need something different to do because I felt like, like I run. Okay, but what else is there? And so
Right.
people were like, hey, do the triathlon. And I'm like, well, I'm not as strong as a swimmer that I could right now and put in the dedication and work. Like I could be there and will be, but right now, what else is there? And so, I don't know, I started researching and I was like, oh, a duathlon. I was like, that would be awesome. And I was like, but I don't have a bike. And so I went to our local bike shop and then got fitted for a bike and then just started like practicing. And my first one was in Alabama. And we
Mm-hmm.
were at one of the bases there, and it was like might have been like a 2 or 3 mile run before, then like a
Mm-hmm.
10-mile bike ride, and like a maybe 2 mile run afterwards.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I'm not, and it was hilly there. And then I was like, well, okay, if I can't, do great on the bike, I definitely can run because that's my thing. And so when I was out there, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I need training wheels or I need to get off on my bike and push it. I thought I was prepared. Like I trained for this. And so, but then as soon as I got off that bike, I ran. And then I ended up like being like first place in my age group. And it was just like, hey, you can do like challenging things. But on top of that, if you know you're not great at one thing, but you are the other, then do very, very well in that. And then, you know, you'll get the push that you need, you know, in that other area, but really practice on what you're great at. So
Okay.
that taught me a lot.
All right. I love that. I love that. So with that mindset and that, just that just energy to go, what would be your message to someone who says, like, you know what, I'm too old, it's too late for me to get started running or just getting fit, I can't do it. I don't have time. I got all these kids. I got to go to work. I don't have time. So what would be your message to someone who says that it's too late for me to start?
So I really believe in the words, if you have the ability, then it's your responsibility. So I know we had talked prior about like the Selma to Montgomery race. And It's just like, do I have the ability to run a bike 51 miles? Yes. So then it's my responsibility to figure out, hey, what do I need? Is it a coach? Is it a friend that's going to help me? Or is it the knowledge or whatever I need? So we have the ability to do things. And then in essence, it's our responsibility. But what are you going to do in order to make sure that you reach your goals?
Okay. Yeah, just never give up. I hear people all the time like, oh, I can't do that. I'm like, yeah, actually you can do it. It's just whether or not you want to put yourself out to do it, All right. So, before I let you go, I want to kind of know, what do you have planned after the race in December? What's coming up in the coming year for you? What is Brittanyy Harris going to do? What is she going to accomplish? What is she going to do that's going to be astounding to her and everybody around her?
Yes. So upcoming May 2025, I have collaborated with a group. So one of the girls in the group said like, hey, I'm going to run a half marathon in every state. And so she was like, hey, there's some upcoming races if you want to like join. And so I think she has like 10 more states to go. And so how she plans it is very strategic. So it's like a Saturday, Sunday. So I think the last one was in Kansas and then on Saturday, and then they drove to Iowa on Sunday. And so the races that I'm going to complete with her are one is in Maine, and it's the Marine Coast Half.
Okay.
And then on Saturday, and then we're going to travel to New Hampshire and then do one of those Revel races, which is a downhill race.
Oh,
in the White Mountains. So
nice. All right. Now, before I let you go, did I guess right with the 3 truths and a lie? By saying,
yes, you did guess right. Yes.
Boom.
My favorite distance is not a 1 miler.
Well, what is your favorite distance?
I would say a 10 miler.
Okay, 10 miler. Okay, all right. Let's say I got it right. See, I'm good at that. All right. So, Brittany, thank you for coming on to the show. I really appreciate you being here. So, if people wanted to kind of get in contact with you or follow you online, how can they do that?
Yeah. So, I post a little bit on Instagram, a little bit more than the other social media. So it's Brittanyy 1922.
Okay. And of course that will be, in the show and stuff, so people will be able to get it and be able to follow you and stuff. Again, Brittany, thank you for coming to the show. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Have a great one.
You too.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast. We really appreciate everyone who tunes in each week. If you enjoyed today's show, please support us by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember to tell your friends about the No Gimmicks, Just Sweat podcast, so we can continue to have awesome conversations with everyday athletes just like you. Until next time, have an amazing week.